the bottom of our hearts at Team IBB and everybody that are involved in all of this, thank you for having us here all throughout the school year.
Sorry, man.
What you are all doing is amazing. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. Yeah. Special shout out to the production students making it happen over here, and give them a round of applause. And if we could all stand up for 1 second and give a standing ovation to the faculty, the teachers, and staff here at NCI. This is an incredible day. You should all be super, super proud of yourselves. Now, I am going to hand over the microphone to my business partner, my best friend, James Schleicher, and he is going to share some awesome stuff with you today. So give it up one time for James Schleicher.
Hey! Thank you, sir. All right. I was going to stand up here, but I did not want all you to remember about what I said was actually how I fell off the stage. So sorry to ruin that. Graduation. Feel good? Feel good? All right, so if you are like me and most graduates to ever graduate, ever, you're probably thinking to yourself, all right, I'm graduated, goal achieved, mission accomplished. So now what? Now what do I do with my life? Anybody ever ask themselves that? So now what? No, man, I got it, bro. All right. So the good news is, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 10 years from now, 30 years from now, all you need to do to remind yourself of the answer to what do I do next? What makes me different? What makes me special? What is going to give me the secret to success? It's in your own mission statement. And it talks about offering opportunity to acquire new skills, to apply new knowledge, to advance your future. Yeah. So, have any of you heard like, oh, just wait till you get in the real world. You won't be able to do that. Just wait till the real world. You don't know anything. You're not in the real world. Well, congratulations, you're in the real world. Yeah? Pretty cool. So, the real world versus the textbook. Question, do each of you have a special skill because you went through NCI? You have a specialty, correct? Do most of your friends and peers that did not go through NCI, do they have a special skill that people would pay for? Or do they have a general education, right? So they're like me. Do you have special knowledge, specialized knowledge that people would pay for, that people need? So you shake your head and be like, yeah, you got it. All right. Future. This is the biggest thing. I want you to get one thing from this and put it into action. And if that one thing is that you control your future, it's the most cliche thing ever, but it's the truest thing ever. And I want to talk to you a little bit about your story, the NCI Leaders of the World story, versus James Schleicher's story. So my story about how I acquired skills, knowledge, and my future was not as awesome as yours. Graduated from Willoughby South, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, what's up? What's up, Luck? Ran for Coach Luck. And I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run track for a living. I'm gonna be a pretty fast runner who can run a pretty long distance. And I'll figure the rest out. So not only when I was literally in your shoes, graduating high school, I had nothing to offer. Does that make sense? You have something to offer that matters. If my car broke down, I was coming to you. If my hair's all jacked up, I'm coming to you, right? So, like, all right, we'll go to college. I'll figure it out. It will all make sense once I graduate college. So I had a double major, double minor, captain on the track team, president of student government, editor on the newspaper, won all these different awards, blah, 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 blah. My resume was awesome. But the human being I was still had no skills, no knowledge. So whatever is next for you, I dare you to go out and be your best self, and definitely don't be like me and walk across that stage at graduation thinking that, oh, well, you know, my resume's pretty good, that will get me a job. All I did when I walked across the stage was get an invite to my grandma's basement. It's like, well, that's not what I envisioned. So I'm in grandma's basement, I got $18 in my checking account, and I got $50,000 in student loan debt. It's awesome, and no job. How many of you can go out tomorrow and make money with your expertise, with your skills, knowledge? Raise your hand. All of you should be raising your hand. How much money could I make with a general degree with no skills and no knowledge? 0, thank you. None. Did you all pay $50,000 in student loans to get your skills and knowledge in the future that you're about to have? All right, not yet. I'm not saying college is bad, I'm not saying general education is bad. What I am saying is you have a huge, huge head start on the world. If you fall behind your peers, it's because you actively decided to. Okay? So you have the skills, you have the knowledge. If you want to be unstoppable, if you want to have the best life ever and be happy, you got to become the expert. So how do you become the expert? Glad you asked. 2 things. Talk about never stop growing. If you're not getting smarter, you're getting dumber. So master your craft. So what skill did you come through here with? Auto services? So can he continue to work on auto services, on that craft, and continue to get better and to get more employable, get more hireable, and make more money, have more opportunities, correct? Is what you learn today going to be the right thing that makes you the expert 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Will technology change? When you were in kindergarten, was technology a little bit different? Slightly? So always be mastering your craft. The magic happens on the second part with mastering yourself. We all know what holds us back. We just don't like to admit it. Like, well, if I don't talk about it, it's not there. If I don't deal with it, it's not there. So always, always master yourself. When I actually started focusing on myself as well as my craft, I went from being basically the bottom percentile of my industry to top 6% in the world. So the last 4 years, I've been top 6% in the world of what I do, and I started with no skills, no knowledge, no anything, which you already have, but I took these 2 things very, very seriously. So when you are mastering yourself, there's 3 pillars for Team IBB. The first is life. What have you endured? Everybody has something that they've had to live through, and something that technically the world says that's what's wrong with you. Technically, society says that's why you can't be successful. But what I will tell you, you think I was proud to be in my grandma's basement? You think that, getting a college degree with no job, no future, do you think I felt like a failure? Yeah, yes, that's correct. So you have to remember, but again, I remembered, hey, I've been through this before. I've been through things like this before, not exact. Have you been through a rough time before? So you got through it. You got over it. So whatever's coming your way, you got it, right? Life is mean. Human beings are amazing, but we have a tendency to be mean. We have a tendency not to be nice. And what that does is that creates scenarios where we really question, do I matter? Does my existence actually matter? And I'm here to tell you that it does. Not because I said so, because you need to believe it, because you need to say so, because you say, hey, I've been through worse. And even when the worst of times comes and you get over it, guess what? The rest of the problems that come your way get pretty easy. The one thing I will tell people that are going to get into my business world, into the industry, I'm like, the James Schleicher today, what I accomplish on a daily basis would suffocate and drown James Schleicher 10 years ago. So that's the number one thing too, is you're trying to put yourself out of business every single day. You're trying to make the you of yesterday obsolete. Does that make sense? The second L is love. Everybody love everybody, right? So here's something that when you are enduring life and you're overcoming obstacles and you're being successful, is it easy? Have you seen people where families have fallen apart because someone is basically so focused on being successful that they forgot about their family, they forgot about their loved ones? Friendships, where people are so focused on other things that friendships fall apart. Who is it all for? If you're going to be the expert and you're going to be the best you, don't forget about who is supposed to be there with you when you're done. So you have a vision, you think about it every day, you're like, all right, 5 years from now, whether you're consciously thinking about it, you have dreams and visions of where I want to be, where I'm going to be. If you're not like me, I'm going to tell you, you can do it, and you'll go do it. If you are like me, I need someone to tell me, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you'll never be successful. Okay, now I'm interested. Now I'm motivated. So I always said, tell me I can't do something, and I'll go do it. So whatever personality you have, I'm here to say you can do or you can't. But never forget who it's all for. Who's standing with you in that vision of success? Because if you are alone and successful, you're not happy. And if you're not happy, success is worthless. Does that make sense? Yeah, all right, cool. All right. The third L is legacy. How do you want to be remembered? So, like right now, every one of you, I'm going to remember you based on how you're responding, based on how you're sitting, based on whatever. And that's everything you do. Your teachers, leadership, each other. You tell people a lot about whether or not they can trust you, whether or not you're the guy or gal that they can rely on, by the things you do when no one else is really watching. When it doesn't really matter, how much does it really matter to you? And one of the things I'll say is, there is a lot of life ahead of you that you are going to hate. It's going to suck. There's a lot of your world that you're going to have to go through. And for me, I love working with people, but I despise paperwork. But if I help the person, I got to do the paperwork. So what do? Stop helping people? Make the mundane fun. So right now, make it fun. You're like, oh, this guy won't shut up. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Make it fun. Try to learn something. Make the mundane fun and the fun things more fun. Okay? ... legally. All right. So, end of the day, legacy. If you know what you want to be remembered for, do you think it's difficult to make short-term decisions when you have a long-term vision of where you're going? It gets very easy, very fast to make the right decisions when you know where you're going. Now it's up to you. You too can be successful. So I'm going to leave on a few things. Answer this out loud. Everybody, tell the truth. Who makes your decisions? Not your. Okay, maybe she did, but now you graduated, so who makes your decisions? What's your name, brother? Nick? So who makes Nick's decisions? Nick. Who's in charge of Nick? All right? Is it normal to blame others for something we feel bad that we did? It shouldn't be. But hey, we're humans, and that's how we operate. Okay? So again, you make your own decision. We talk about break a leg. You need to break your logic, break your emotions, and break through to your gut instinct. So I'm talking about you know what's right and what's wrong. But we overthink that. We can create a scenario in our minds. Have you ever made a bad decision, but you're like, give me 10 minutes, I'm gonna make this logical. I'm gonna make this seem cool. I'm gonna make this seem smart. The emotion, have you ever acted on your emotions, especially angry? Have you ever been angry and gone off on somebody and they're like, wow, thanks, that was very thoughtful. Thank you, that was the best. Remind me to be friends with you. Yes. When emotion goes up, decision making goes down. And the gut instinct, again, whatever vision you have, you know what it's going to take. Don't wait for other people to give you permission to do what you were born to do. Social capital. All of you right now, this is social capital. So you're in auto services, cosmetology. Are your clients going to need someone to help them with their cars? Oh my gosh, he's right there. He can help. Do people you know going to need help with their cosmetology needs? Sorry, I'm ignorant. I don't. They want to get their nails done or whatever. Especially you got the mechanics and they're working on cars all the time. I could go for a nice manicure. Yep. So, could you two build a very successful business very fast by helping each other refer clients back and forth? And you know he went through NCI, so you know he knows what he's talking about. Vice versa. You know that each other know. So all of you can get very successful very fast by working together to help each other's mutual clients. Does that make sense? How you seem is who you are. This is the last thing I'm going to say, I promise. Shut up. Swear. How you seem, not who you are, is who you are. How you seem. So we live in a social media world. The internet has taken over. Augmented reality, virtual reality, all that fun stuff. So President Abraham Lincoln, is he a pretty smart dude? He was wise. So wear a hat like him and you'll be wise. He used to, so talking about acting in anger, letting your emotions take over on your decision making. So if he was mad at somebody, he would write a letter, like, James Schleicher, your speech was terrible, I hate you. You're the worst. Signed, President Lincoln. Do you think he would send it to me, or do you think he'd throw it away? Threw it away. Did he get it out of his system, how much he hated me? It's supposed to be a joke. All right, gosh, all right. Jeez. So what I'm getting at is, if you have to question, should I send that text? Should I post this post or snap that chat or whatever? All right? I'm old. Leave me alone. On that Instagram, all right? If you have to question what you're putting out to the world, should you do it? Probably not. And you got to get it out of your system. So you can draft a text, get it out of your system, just please don't send it. Not for me, but for you, okay? So get things out of your system in a non-public atmosphere, okay? Because people all the time, I'm going to hire Nick because he seems like a nice guy, right? How you seem is who you are. So always be challenging yourself to master your craft. That's a big part of mastering yourself, is when all your friends are posting stupid stuff and you want so badly to be like, you're an idiot. What you just posted was stupid. I'm smarter than you. Even if you're smarter than someone, telling them that you are, does that ever help your case? Does that ever get them to actually be like, wow, yeah, you are smart. Yeah. Now that you told me I'm stupid, I'm feeling that you're smart. So, success. There is a poem that was hanging in my grandfather's office, and he was, to me, like, he was my living, breathing success in my life. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, the poem, talking about having a legacy, what do you want to be remembered for? There is the ending lines in that poem is how I want you to remember me forever, and anyone I come into contact with. It says, to know one life has breathed easier because you lived, this is to have succeeded. Thank you for your time, and I dare you to go make someone's life easier because you lived. Very honored, very humbled. I cannot be more proud of a group of people because you are the real deal. So thank you. Congratulations. We got Pope. All right. All right. We doing the Q&A? Sarah, you want to get up here and say a few things? Good? Oh, sorry. Question and answer, go. My actual profession, oh, don't talk about that. No. I started as a financial advisor, and then our team's grown, and we do business and life coaching and consulting, and then published a book. So now we're getting like a lot of public speaking requests and all that. So yeah, we basically help people with their financial, personal, professional goals. So, good question. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you think you should exclude people that don't want to be successful out of your life, or just not let them affect you? Like, you can be successful and still keep them around, or should you just like...
All right, very good question. So listen up, this is super important. That's probably one of the most important things. And there's all different sayings for it, but your life will be the equivalent of basically the 5 closest people in your life. The one thing, like I have friends from high school, I love them dearly, and it hurts me to not hang out with them. But every time I hang out with them, bad things happen. So now that I'm married, my wife's like, you're not allowed. No more of that. So what I'm getting at is, you're going to have to burn bridges to get ahead in life. But you don't have to let people know your end is cut off. Never, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to go like, listen, you're a negative person, I can't stand you, you're cut off, don't talk to me. Okay, that's not, let's be smart about it. But you have to separate yourself from because what's holding you back is oftentimes who's holding you back. So and the fact that you are already aware of that's a big deal. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah, this is my first time speaking in front of NCI, so thank you. Woo! Woo! NCI for life. I love the purple hair too. I'm jealous. So, any other questions? All right. This is fun.
Yeah, tough crowd.
Tough crowd. No, hey, I'm telling you, you guys are awesome. I've done speeches where like the teachers leave the room and it's like 400 kids, 400 young adults, young leaders. And yeah, so it's good. It's good times. Hey, focus. You guys are awesome. I have no jokes if you're waiting for that. Gary, come on down. Cut me off.
All right, give it up.
Give it up. All right. All right. Thank you.
So, James did pretty good, right? Pretty funny guy.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. This is going to be awesome. We got another guest coming your way. She is one of the best comedians I have
So badly when you said,
This
who
on
makes
her
my
way
decisions,
coming down
I was
the
gonna say,
aisle
you're right.
now.
Well, yeah, now. Yeah.
Sara Spence.
He's my man. Thank you.
Spence.
Woo! Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's much better that way when she's...
Great. First off, congratulations. You made it. Long road. Road does not end here. Keep working. This is an end of another chapter. You're going to start a new one. Keep keep it up, and welcome to the real world. Everyone keeps saying it. All the stuff that everyone kept thinking, oh, I'm never going to use this. You'll be amazed every day at how often you're going to look back and thank your teachers for teaching you something that you will use. To kind of piggyback off of James's awesome speech, success. Let's go back and talk about that for a minute. Define your own success. If there's something that you guys could all go home and do tonight, define success. Everybody has a different notion. If I told you right now, are you successful? Or what does it mean to be successful? Can you really answer that? It's different for everyone else. It's going to be different for you than for you. What I think is successful is going to be different. Success could just be having a family, having a decent job, getting up every day, going to work, coming home, seeing your family. Where someone else, it may be the fancy cars, the big house, and nothing is wrong. It's just you need to define your own success so that one day you can wake up and say, I am successful. But you can't say that until you know what success is to you. Don't let anyone else define it for you. Don't let any of your friends say, hey, you're not driving this, you're not successful. That's not what it's about. So as you're out there, college, your jobs, whatever you're doing, after graduation, know what's going to make you successful and chase that. Chase your dreams. The world's yours right now. It's not too late to do something that you have wanted to do. Chase it. Do it. Go expand your horizons, but come back to Lake County. There's awesome opportunities within Lake County. So do your thing, but keep it in Lake County. There's great stuff here. But just wanted to leave you with a few words. Again, congratulations, and good luck in your next chapter of life in this crazy thing called the real world.
All right, give it up for Sara Spence of Spence Technologies. All right. She has an amazing story, so if you have an opportunity to ask her some questions, she is an absolute rock star. So I have the pleasure again to introduce another speaker. I have the opportunity to bring down to this stage right here in front of all of you NCI graduates, the one, the only, Steve Pelton.
Hey everybody. First of all, I want to follow up with everybody else and say, congratulations. This is really the start of a long future for everybody. One of the couple things I want to talk about are really three things. The first thing is what do you really expect in a career? Also, as we talk about that, the more you guys interact with me, the shorter time I'll talk, so that'll be a little incentive. The second thing is as you're going through your career, what can you expect in terms of some of the challenges, some of the opportunities, some of the benefits of that? And then I would like to actually finish up talking a little bit about what Sara mentioned is, really defining success. How do you make sure that you feel successful? And I really don't think you have to wait a long time for that. A lot of times as we get started, we're like, well, I'll be successful in 10 years. Or I'll be successful when I get this or that. In reality, you guys can be successful right now. You already are successful because you're obviously graduating. So you don't have to wait to make these things happen. So just a quick show of hands. How many people think that they now know what their career is and they plan to be in that career the rest of their lives? All right. How many people have really not so much of an idea? They think they're starting out in the right direction, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Well, for those that don't really know what's going on, you're not alone. All right? Majority of people that I've known throughout my life really have no idea what they want to do in their lives. And there's always that, I'm going to chase to figure out what that is, right? So to give you a little quick story of how I got to where I'm at now, currently run two companies. One's a for-profit, one's a nonprofit here in Lake County. It didn't start out that way. I went to high school at Orlando St. Joe's. I went there because my dad was an industrial arts teacher. So I ended up having my dad for class for electronics and drafting. A little bit weird. They were like, oh, it must have been easy. I'm like, not really. He knew if I was doing my homework or not, right? So, when I was getting out of school, I did good in school, but I'm like, I don't know necessarily what I want to do. And like James said, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of skills coming out. I didn't have the skills that you guys have. You could immediately go into the workforce and actually start doing something. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something. I'm like, I want to take some time off and work. My parents are like, I don't really know if that's a good idea for you because you might never decide what you want to do, and we think you should sort of plug in. So I'm like, all right. And I'm like, well, I'd like to go to art school. And they're like, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. You're sort of good in math and science. Why don't you go into engineering? And I'm like, okay. So we toured a bunch of schools, ended up choosing University of Dayton for engineering. To be honest, I chose University of Dayton because the person that took me around was awesome. They're like, this is the greatest school ever. You're going to have a great time. I'm like, sweet. Do you have engineering? I'm in. Right? So I ended up going to University of Dayton. Spent about the first 6 months or half a year in engineering. I'm like, I really don't like this math stuff. I'm good at it, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I'm like, what if I switch into their art program? I'm like, how convenient, right? They have an art program. And my parents were like, okay, you can do that. And so I switched over to their art program. I just passed physics just by a very small margin, but I'm like, all right, so I'm going to go to art school. And I'm like, well, all right, what am I going to do with art? If I'm going to do art, I want to go all in. So I'm like, I want to tell my parents, I want to leave University of Dayton. I want to come back to school and go to Cleveland Institute of Art. And they're like, oh, really? I thought we had this discussion a little bit less than a year ago that you should sort of continue on. So I convinced them. Must be at least decent in sales. I'm like, I'm coming back to school. So I come back to Cleveland Institute of Art. I am full-time art. 8 hours a day, every day. I'm like, this is awesome. But what if I'm not really good at art? What do I do? Like, the other classes I had to take, one history class, one English class, and one other random class, and everything else is art. So I'm like, I don't know if this is the right option. I still want to do art, but I want to have some opportunities, some things to do. So I'm like, all right, tell my parents, I can't really stay here. I'm going to go to Miami of Ohio. My best friend's there. I'm like, hey, they got art, and my best friend's there. We're going to have a good time. So I go to Miami of Ohio, ended up completing a ceramics and printmaking degree. When was the last time you seen somebody make a lot of money in ceramics? I'm like, everybody stopped smoking. I was going to make ashtrays and go around. So anyways, graduated with a fine arts degree. What are you going to do? James' grandmother and my grandfather must have been talking. They're like, why don't you come live with me in Mentor? So I move into Mentor. I start throwing ceramics on the wheel and in the garage. And I'm like, it's the middle of the winter. It's dark. The garage is not heated. I don't know if this is a great idea for me. So I'm starting working on it. About 3 months in, everything froze. And I'm like, oh, now we got some problems. This is how I was going to make my living. I got to figure out something else because I don't want to do this anymore. So I started working at the Melton Iron and Metal in the scrapyard. Happened to have a friend that worked there. He's like, I'll get you a job. That job was the hardest job I've ever had in my life. It took me about 3 months to decide I do not want to do this the rest of my life. So I went back to school. So I started going to Lakeland, went back to Cleveland State. I was actually a full-time student at both schools at the same time. I didn't tell them that. That's not advisable, right? And at that point, I'm like, well, I'd like to go back to Miami. So then I transferred to Miami. And then I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to make it in Miami. I'm like, I'm going to transfer back to Cleveland. So I transferred back to Cleveland. So basically, in a little less than 6 years, I went to 7 schools. A couple of them twice. And my parents were like, you switch one more time, I'm not filling out any more financial aid stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm staying. So anyways, I was at Cleveland State, wasn't necessarily good in computers, but I was in the computer program, and that's when I decided to start my first business. All right, I started a computer education company for seniors, getting them on the internet, all the kind of stuff they like to do. Basically, started that before I got out of school. Luckily, I had some support from my parents. At that point, continued on. Actually, that business is still in existence, but basically over the course of that time, we taught about 28,000 seniors across the country how to use computers. We wrote 14 large print books that are in libraries across the country. We did a bunch of videos. And then I was approached like, hey, I knew somebody at the hospital that was on my advisory board for the business. And they're like, we would like you to come and actually do some marketing for us. I'm like, okay. That wasn't really the plan. I was in technology. But they're like, oh, we're going to pay you a lot. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we basically fired ourselves from our own company. I started as a marketing consultant for UH, and then spent the next 7 years at UH. I don't know if you've seen a huge medical center when it opened down in Beechwood. I was running the marketing when they didn't know what that was. And then came the idea of, I want to not do this anymore. I want to start my own business. I'm going to leave. And at the time I was married, had a 2-year-old, 4-year-old daughter, and my wife's like, dude, do it. Right? She's a stay-at-home mom, did a great thing. She's like, you can't cut off our income. I'm like, but this is an idea that I can't pass up. And so I quit. And that's how I started Gauge Choices. The reason I tell you that story is when I started out where you guys were at, I didn't think I was ever going to run a business, especially not in the healthcare space. Wasn't really good in technology. I sort of migrated. And what's interesting, the majority of people migrate into their careers. They might start out in one area. There's nothing wrong with changing, right? You have to find out where you want to go. And you got to really figure out what you want to do. How many people have heard you got to find your life purpose? Just one person? Everybody else missed that class? All right, everybody's like, we got to find your life purpose. Did they ever tell you how to find it? No. Anybody know how to find their life purpose? No, part of it's experience, right? So the question is why do you even want to find your life purpose? If you could figure out what you want to do and why you want to do it, it'll make life so much better. Because you'll actually be happy with what you're doing, right? And a lot of people think that they have to make their life purpose their day job. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that. But if you don't do what you're actually meant to do long term, you're going to regret it. So you got to figure out how to put that in your life. If you figure out what that is, it'll help guide your goals, it'll help guide your career, it'll help guide everything that you do, right? So the question is how do you really find your life purpose? The first thing is you have to find yourself. And to be honest, I didn't find my life purpose until I was working for the hospital. Right as it's about to make a big change, I'm like, ooh, I better figure out this is really what I want to do. So you're talking, I was almost 30, well, I was over 30 at the time, and now I'm just starting to figure out what my life purpose is. A little bit slow to the game, but we sort of make it, right? So the first thing you want to do with your life purpose, you can do this at any time, you don't have to wait, is you have to figure out what you really like to do. What is something that you do that you lose track of time, right? Maybe it's fashion. Maybe it's working on cars. Maybe it's playing video games, right? What is it that you like to do? What is it that you would like to teach somebody and they would look to you for more information, right? What is something that you do that makes you smile? It's going to be different for every single one of us. If you don't ask yourself those questions eventually, some point in your life you're going to be like, am I really doing what I want to do? Did I spend too much time in something that maybe I didn't really love, right? The majority of people don't ask themselves those questions because they're scared of what they are actually going to find out, right? So I encourage you all to ask yourself those questions. Figure out what you really like to do. Figure out what you want to do long term. Again, you don't have to do it necessarily during the day job, but maybe that's what your hobby is. Maybe that's what you do afterwards. As long as you're finding that life purpose, you will find the satisfaction that comes along with it. So the question that comes up is, how do you know that you actually found your life purpose? How do you know you're really dialed in on it? Well, the way that you figure that out is when you feel like you've hit the jackpot, and you feel down in your gut, this is what I meant to do, that's your life purpose. Anybody want to know what my life purpose is? Right? My life purpose is to help other people reach their goals. I do that through starting businesses, I do that through mentoring, I do that through a lot of different things. I love to help people get to where they want to be. It doesn't matter what that goal is, but if I can help somebody else get there, that's extremely rewarding for me. And luckily, I've had a lot of support from myself to also reach some of those goals. So the question is, as you have your career, you're starting off, what are some of the things you might want to expect? And this isn't a doomsday presentation, right? There's some good things and some bad things that are probably going to happen in your career. You're going to have some basic turbulence because, on average, how often or how many times does somebody switch their actual role or job over the course of their life? Take a guess. How many times does somebody switch their overall role or job or career in the course of their life on average? More than 5 times, that's correct. Anybody else want to take a stab? Higher than 2? Higher than 9? The average is between 10 and 15, which obviously equals to 12, for those that remember, right? So the idea is what causes those change? If you are prepared to know that this change is going to happen, it's way easier to absorb it. So the first thing that comes into play is, well, you're going to start applying for jobs, right? Some of you might already have jobs, some of you are going to start applying. Well, some jobs you get, some jobs you really want, you won't necessarily get the opportunity to. And you have an option at that point. You could either say, oh, this really stinks, and what am I going to do? Or you could say, well, let me continue on. What's interesting later on in life, people will find out that some of those things that you don't necessarily get right away are probably some of the best things that can ever happen, right? Because if you got this job, you wouldn't have this opportunity, or vice versa, right? But a lot of times we don't see that until we look back. The other thing is, a lot of people get promoted. You're doing good at your job, you become an expert in your skills, you'll be able to continue to move up. Some people want to move up, some people want to stay where they're at. As long as you know, that's great, right? So the idea there is know that that's going to potentially also move. Sometimes people get laid off. I'll tell you a quick story. I started my first business. I hired a couple of friends that I worked with, and actually hired a couple of friends I went to high school with. Also was able to hire my sister. Interesting evening, I fired my sister. Can you imagine how that Thanksgiving went? Hey, Mary, unfortunately, you can't work for me anymore. I think she was as happy as I was, right? Those were changes. If you know that things are going to change, you could manage that. As long as you're up front with people, you could actually make that successful. A lot of times people will talk about the on-ramps and off-ramps of your career and your life, right? When you're getting off one place, you're getting on somewhere else. As long as you have control and are moving that around, you'll be happy. When you don't have the control is when it becomes a problem, right? So again, if you can continue to be an expert, continue to find something you're passionate about, you'll find that you'll always be driving, right? And you'll be in control of those changes. And even if something happened that you didn't want, you could then guide where you go long term. And so when you're asking yourself, well, how do I actually get on this journey? The first thing is you got to start, right? It's not easy to take that first step. It's not easy to potentially move out or to start that first job. What if I don't like the job? What if I do? What am I going to do? Like, you have all these questions that come into play. If you don't take that first step, you'll never really figure out what you really love and how successful and how happy you can be, right? So it's a little bit tough to make that first step. I encourage you to do it. I have a friend that jumps off of cliffs and out of airplanes. Not something I'd like to do. I'm like, well, how do you do it? He's like, well, if you ever want to jump out of an airplane, how many people jump out of an airplane before? Okay. First of all, first recommendation, wear a parachute, right? Second thing is, so they say you go up, you pay a lot of money for somebody to push you out of an airplane. What they do is they say, okay, they open the door. That's the first time I'm like, excuse me, I'm going to sit in the back, right? You open the door, they're like, okay, go hang outside. So you're out there like, and they're like, all right, we're going to count. And on the count of 5, jump. You know what happens? They go 1, 2, 3, push. They push you out the door. Because they know what happens is when they count to 5, everybody holds on. So if you don't get to 5, you just got to go. Right? So the same thing when you got to start. You just got to 1, 2, 3, go. And figure it out as it happens. Right? You'll never have all the answers before you get there. You've got to take that first step. So last thing I would really like to talk about is what does success really look like? And Sarah was right on the money when she was talking about, right? What's interesting is a lot of people will say money is what success looks like. And initially, let me tell you the truth. It helps to have a little bit of money. Anybody not here doesn't like money? No? Nobody? All right, everybody likes money, right? We like to at least have it, the opportunity to have it. Right? So what's interesting is, initially, money can be a motivator. But what you'll find out long term is it really doesn't necessarily make a lot of people happy. If you look at everybody in Hollywood, right? There's a lot of not so happy people out there, but they got a lot of money, right? So you can't really say success is money. So when you look at it from the next step, is to say, well, what really is it? And what it is actually, one, you're actually happy with yourself. And when you're looking at it, you just want to give yourself a challenge, and this is a little bit, of a downer. When you want to figure out your life purpose and figure out, if you're successful, think if you had to write your own eulogy to a funeral. Anybody have to go to a funeral in their lives? It's not necessarily a fun experience, right? All right? What's interesting when you write your eulogy, it's interesting you did it in English class, right? Is when you write it, nobody says, oh, Steve, he had a big house. He had a great car. They don't say any of that stuff, right? If they do, it's troublesome because you don't have anything else to say about you, right? Usually they're like, oh, he was a good friend, he was a good family member, blah, 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 right? It's all about what you did as a person. So I would like to say, in terms of success, you know you're successful when you're living in integrity, you're living in what you believe in, and that people actually believe and trust in you, right? If people could rely on you when you ask things to get, to do things, when you're actually making a difference in the world, not only looking out for yourself, but looking out for other people, that's when success is really there. It's not about cars, it's not about monetary stuff, it's just about feeling satisfied that what you're doing is making a difference, and that people actually believe and rely on you. That's what success is. It's not that hard. You're building that right this second, right? The best part about going to school and graduating, is you have now proven to yourself you could learn anything and do anything that you want, right? That's the valuable part of school. Take that and figure out what you want to do. Find your life purpose. Make it a career. Don't hesitate to sort of bounce around to get to where you want to go. Just keep going in the positive direction. But basically, you want to make sure that you're living with integrity so you can look at yourself in the mirror, say, I am successful because I'm making a difference, and people believe it. I think that's what it's all about. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. Congratulations on your graduation. Thank you.
Thank you guys. We appreciate your words of wisdom. Tell me about some of the books as we're going through the program. There are a few more. Do I have any questions for Steve? Questions? You're never this quiet. No, you're not. No questions? Well, he has brought some t-shirts. So t-shirt bombs going out. Whoa! We have more. Sarah.